Hey everybody, Garcia here, and today we're going to be drafting tiles and building our own canal route, trying to deliver some goods to processing stations. This game is called, in English, Water Trail. As you can see, this is in Polish. It's from a Polish company, and it is a very simple game. Like I said, all you're doing is drafting some tiles, playing a handful of them over the entire game, and then scoring victory points. You got to get the specific things to flow down the river to go where they need to go, and you are scoring a couple of other small things, meadows, a couple of little ports, things like that. Very simple game, very short game. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. To set up the game, each player is going to get one of these starting tiles here, a player aid, which is not going to be too useful unless you can read Polish, but there it is. And then we're going to shuffle up the tiles, and everybody gets 3 of these tiles. And the number of tiles in play will be dependent upon the number of players. So here is the amount of tiles for just 2 players. We'll put the rest of them aside. Each player has their 3. And you are ready to begin. In this game, you are going to be drafting tiles. You're going to draft 13 of them, and then we are going to score. We're going to be using the pad in order to score a few different categories. Very simple. So, you'll look at your 3 tiles, and you are going to play one somewhere where the sides match what is going on in the illustration. So, for example, I could play that tile there like so. I could rotate it and play it like this. I could play it anywhere I want. I could play it here if I want to, as long as the 2 types of land match, like I said. So we'll do that. Once that's done, I'll pass these to my neighbor. I will get 2 from my neighbor, right? So they'll have played 1, so we'll remove it. Pass these to them. I get 2 from them, and I draw a new one for my next draft. And I'll take a look at what I've got here, and I might play one, say, over here. Now you'll notice that the river has these lines that show the way in which it flows. And what you're attempting to do, one of the main things you're trying to do, is have goods from the mills delivered to a processing station in which you are going to ideally get some victory points for that. You are going to see the lumber symbol, the grain symbol there, and those things are going to flow down the river to the different locations. So, for example, I'm going to put this one here right now. I have here 1 grain, and there 1 grain. The river is flowing this way, as indicated by these lines. Those 2 will eventually flow to there and get me 8 victory points, because that one requires 2 bags of grain for the 8 victory points. The wood behaves exactly the same way. It's just a little more rare, and so it's worth more victory points. This one, for example, that has the same symbol, 2 of the axes, that's worth 12 instead of 8 over here for the 2 bags. So they're a little harder to process. There's just fewer of them. Now, one thing to keep in mind in this game, nothing flows past these stations. There's a little river that goes across a little bridge, rather, that goes across the river, and nothing will flow past it. And so these 2 grains here flowing down and that lumber flowing down will not get past that point. If I put this down here, like that, 1 wood is making it there, but this one doesn't make it past that spot there. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So you're going to be scoring, like I said, for a few different things. Let's take a look at that. The first one, I've already explained, the grain. And the second one, same thing for the lumber mills. The next one here is for these little ports. There's 1 there, there's 1 there. You are going to score the 2 farthest that can actually connect, and you'll get 2 victory points for each tile between that connection, right? So, unfortunately, right now, normally, this would be 1, 2, 3, this is 1 tile, 4, 5 tiles for 10 victory points, but these 2 don't connect. There are bridges between them. There's a bridge there cutting off that connection, and another bridge there cutting off that connection. And so what I might do instead is perhaps do something like this. And now this one flows to this one without interruption. 2, 4, 6 victory points is what I would get for that. And then lastly down here, the final thing you're scoring for is medals. In the corners of the tiles, you'll see sometimes there is a little metal pie shape, and sometimes not. If you create a shape, let me find one here, like so. You create a shape that has 3 of the 4 sides, you're going to get 3 victory points for that. And if you create a shape that has all of the sides, so it's the entire circle of a medal, that's going to be worth 6 victory points. So again, 6 points, 3 points, nothing under that. And that's basically it. Draft 13 tiles. The final 2 you'll end up with, you simply discard, and then you score for the different categories. You see what your final score is, and hopefully you win the whole thing. That's all there is to it. Like I said, there is a player aid here that explains all of that. And really, once you know how to play, this is a nice reminder, even in Polish. Down here, they tell you that if you're playing with 3 players, you add in tiles that show some sheep. If you're playing with 4 players, you also add in tiles that show some cows. And that's the game. So let's go ahead and go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of this tile laying game. All right, that is Water Trail, or, whatever that says in Polish, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. So let's talk about this. I liked this one all right. This was a nice little game. Sort of a little, it fills 20 minutes or so it's a nice little game. It's interesting. It's well made. It's not revolutionary by any means. It's certainly something we've seen before, but it is a pleasant enough package. Let's break it down a little bit more. The thing I disliked the most in it would be the replayability. It's very samey even after a couple of plays. There's just not that many scoring parameters. The game will not go particularly differently from one play to the next. So there is that. And then I thought the thematic ties were kind of weak. It's a pleasant game, like I said. I could see somebody playing this as a way to relax, perhaps. But it's not exciting. It's not captivating. It's a guy on the cover flowing down the river, and that's basically what you're doing in the game as well. And then tactics and strategy. There are some choices, but they're usually very, very obvious choices. And the game is sort of an obvious game to play. You look at your 3 tiles, you go, yep, that's the one that I'm obviously going to play. And you play it, and you pass 2 tiles and get 2 more, right? The other things I like, the aesthetics, I think are very nice. The game is really well constructed, and nice tile quality, pretty artwork. I thought the fact that they included not just the player aids, but a scoring pad is really a nice touch. And for a game with very few scoring parameters, I wouldn't have even been upset if it wasn't in there. Like, I wouldn't have obviously missed it, is what I'm saying. And so it's nice that they went through the trouble of putting that in there. Nice touch, The game length I also thought was very nice. The game's about 20 minutes, like I said. And that works well. That's about the right length of time. After 20 minutes or so, I'm ready to kind of stop and score and see how I did, compare what I did to everybody else. There's really no player interaction in this game, so be aware of that. If you want some, it's just not there. And then lastly, the ease of play. So easy, so straightforward. No hiccups, no snags anywhere. It's just a real smooth game. It flows much like this Water Trail. And like I said, the player aid and the scoring pad, those are nice and help that ease of play as well. So there you go. It's a nice one. It is sort of a been there, done that kind of game. I don't know how many people necessarily need this game in their collection. If you've already got other tile laying games, you're happy with those. They give you a little more replayability, perhaps a slightly more exciting theme, or some world you want to visit a little more. So all those games are probably things I would recommend first. But in a bubble, there's nothing wrong with this. But, obviously this game doesn't exist in a bubble. So from me, this is going to get a 6 out of 10. It's nice. It's pleasant. I enjoyed my time with it. So there you go. Whatever that says. Water Trail. 6 out of 10 from me. Thanks everybody for checking this out. I'm Z Garcia. I want to see you on the next one.